Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Welcome back, brothers and sisters. It's been ages since we did a new video on this channel, specifically on MPCO. In case y'all forgot who I was, I'm Muslim Dragon 304. Here's brother Scudium and a new brother Boars. Came in. If you're on Shad Mission server, link in the description below, you'll probably know who he is. He's a friendly new comer to the mod teams. But yeah, anyways, so I came across this video recommended to me by the glorious YouTubes, because of course they want to persuade me out of Islam. So I was like, you know what, this thumbnail and this title does look enticing to react to. So why not? And before we go in, any first impressions, brother Squid and Boars, if you have anything to say before we start?
Not much. I'm just happy for more MPCO content. That's all.
Yeah.
Assalamu alaikum.
Okay. All right then. Let's begin. All right. Let's see what this guy has to offer. Here we go. Okay, do excuse any music in the background. It's me on my hand. He put this
in a recent comment on the channel. One viewer asked if I would address more issues related to Islam, and I thought, why not? So today I'm going to give a relatively brief answer to the question why I'm not a Muslim. And for those of you who are new, welcome to the Council of Trent podcast. I'm your host, Catholic Answers apologist and speaker, Trent Horn. Be sure to leave a comment under the episode to let me know about other topics you'd like me to address, and definitely subscribe to the channel so you don't miss all of our content. All right, so one common tactic among Muslim apologists is to give a variety of objections to Christianity, and then assume once you can disprove Christianity, then a person should just become a Muslim, because Islam apparently has the simplest and most coherent view of God.
That's a supreme oversimplification as to the whole process. If you can call it a process anyway, but or rather progress. I mean, Squid. I mean, you've been doing a bunch of discussions with a bunch of Christians, some of which became Muslim. Alhamdulillah. What's your take on this?
I would say, yeah, that's false. We don't need Christianity. We don't need to debunk Christianity to prove Islam is true. And it's false that just because Christianity is false, it doesn't make Islam true, Alhamdulillah, like we have the Quran, we have the Sunnah. We're not, unlike Christianity, we're not dependent on the Old Testament, or there's no dependency, right? Mm-hmm. So we don't need that. We can just prove Islam. If Islam makes sense, we just have to prove that Muhammad is a true prophet and establish that. But sometimes we use the Bible to, go against the Bible, if that makes sense, to go against Christianity. Right, but one thing I have to admit is the reason some of these quote-unquote Christians have these rhetoric, right, is because of a lot of the kids who they know how to disprove Christianity, mashallah, but they don't know how to prove Islam. If you don't know how to prove Islam, then do that first.
Yeah,
So I have to be honest there.
And
because if you sorry to be going.
No, you go on. I'll include it later.
I was gonna say, because if you prove Islam, then by default all other religions are false. That's the easiest way. Okay.
Well, yeah, because we believe, of course, you might say, that's anti, whatever. But then, we're entering into secular, liberal topics and stuff like that. And then, if we were to accept all the other religions, then there really is no truth value. Because ultimately, you can't have more than one truth. Let's be real and frank about this. You only got one truth, and everything else is devoid. I mean, if you go to other religions, they also will say the same thing. Like, the religion that the people practice will be the truth to them, and every other thing will be false. Because, of course, logically speaking, every other religion put on the same plate will contradict each other. And so Islam also says the same thing, and we are happy to admit this, because, and it's not something that, it's something crazy that we have to hide and have to admit, being shy about. No, it's actually something that is the truth, and we have to hold fast to this truth, alhamdulillah. But in any case, it really is we're really off to a great start so far. So here we go, and we're just 58 seconds in.
But Islam is more than just a certain view of God. It's also allegiance to the alleged divine authority of the Quran and other teachings of Islam that have come down through various oral traditions called the Hadith. Even if I weren't a Christian, I still wouldn't be a Muslim. I'd just be some other kind of religious theist. I would believe in God. I might even be a philosophical theist who believed in an unlimited God of the classical philosophers like Aristotle. That's because the main reason I'm not a Muslim is because there aren't any good reasons to think Islam is true. I'll use this popular video, Why Islam is the Truth, as an example of pro-Islam arguments and why they aren't persuasive.
Okay, so let's not really play the assumption game, but let's just ready ourselves. Will he use a video by a rasikh al-ilm or by a scholar or at least like some regular da'i, of Islam? Will he use a video from that kind of person, or will he just find cherry pick a random video from some place on the internet and react to it like every other person ever on the internet?
Or will he use a video of an Ikhwani who follows Hizb ut-Tahrir rhetoric to tell him if Islam is true? Let's see.
Here.
I haven't watched the video, but I just saw the thumbnail, so I just know like where he's getting. I didn't watch the video.
I have no idea. I just saw the title. I don't know what the hell was going on with the thumbnail content. I didn't even watch the video. Like I said, I just got this recommended to me again, thanks to YouTube. But here we go. Let's see.
Wait, Dragon. Make it 1.25 speed.
1.25 speed. Oh, okay. Here you go. 1.2. Oh,
It's fine. That's fine.
Actually, no. Let's just go down so it makes it easier to listen to. There you go.
Remember, the main points Islam seeks to prove is that Muhammad was a genuine prophet who received a revelation from God, and the Quran is divine revelation rather than a merely human writing.
But the Quran can be proved to be from God. It is a book like no other book, a speech like no other speech, and this can be shown in so many ways.
Just because a book is unlike any other does not mean it is divinely inspired.
But that's not the claim, though, because the claim is of a man from the 14th century, that was illiterate. He made a book seventh century. A man in the 7th century, he made a book he was illiterate as well. He made a book that even today nobody has come up with it, or something like that. That's the claim. But he's misrepresenting them, the brother. Yeah, go on. Sorry.
Yeah, from a neutralistic standpoint, and then you still have to question that. Like, how can a man, who was our Prophet ﷺ, living in the desert with no greatness in science and ilm and stuff like that, in the 7th century of all centuries, have this much knowledge on intricacies relating to the human body, the planet around them, the entire, nearly the entire cosmos and its closed loop systematic processes, and whatever is beyond that said cosmos, which it will entail the vast universe and beyond, and the past and the future. How does all that happen? So if you're going to be an atheist and pull a probability answer, of course that's something that will be laughed at, and I will be amongst those who will laugh at you for even thinking that it's a thing that is a possibility. But yeah, it's again, you couldn't argue against it. It'll be really impossible for a normal ordinary man who does not know how to write at his time to be able to come up with such extreme details in the manner that he did, sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and be correct in every aspect of it in the 7th century in the middle of the desert with no forms of sources to refer to. Also, we like to welcome Brother Jesus, the Muslim. He just joined in. Assalamu alaikum, brother. We're recording this for the channel, so yeah, just to keep you a heads up, just in case, if you're not prepared or anything, just to keep you prepared, I guess. Anyway, so let's just continue.
Speed it up a bit. It's a little bit slow.
Yeah,
maybe like 1.5 or 1. Yeah, 3 is 4 or 5.
Let's do 3 because I don't want to, because too fast will be hard to yeah. Anyway, let's just.
The works of William Shakespeare are unique. There's nothing else like them, but that doesn't mean they're divine.
Okay. Oh, I gotta stop here. Okay, wait. Look, he's comparing a divine revelation sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala with knowledge that cannot be ascertained except from a divine entity like Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala down through the angel Gabriel through the Prophet to a work of fictitious drama.
Being unique does not entail being divine.
For example, Allah predicted its preservation from the beginning. More than 1,400 years have passed, and the Quran remains in its original language, completely unchanged.
Okay, that's good. Yeah.
Since Muslims claim the Quran is the direct word of God, any changes, even if it was a single letter, would instantly falsify this claim.
This will come up later in regards to fulfilled prophecies, but in order for that kind of argument to work, you need a very specific prophecy that can't be explained by just a lucky prediction. Saying a religion or a book will still exist 1,000 years from now is a prediction, and the odds of that prediction coming to pass, they may be low, but
Wait.
The Quran, it says the previous scriptures have been corrupted. Do you know how dangerous of a prophecy this would have been for him to say this specific book will not be corrupted? It's a very risky prophecy for him to make.
It is.
Yeah.
And I'm sad to say that because, of course, he doesn't know much about Islam to begin with. He takes the route of, and I mean, it's evident because he compares, the Quran to a book or a work of art that came years after, the Quran, So it's, again, he kind of forgets the timing of it all and kind of forgets like the setting of which the Quran, came, at the time of the Prophet ﷺ. He forgets that. Or rather, he may not even know, it's coming. So, I don't know, man. Let's just move on.
they aren't so low as to rule out chance. This is especially true if you have dedicated followers of your book or your religion who commit their lives to spreading it by almost any means necessary. Also, the Quran has changed. As scholars note, there are manuscript variations in it. Shabir Ali is a well-known Muslim apologist.
Okay.
No.
Okay.
Why is he bringing all those innovators and stuff? I don't understand.
Okay, yeah.
Oh my God. Wait, let me just. So it just shows us, that he's an ignorant. He just hasn't studied much. Number one, first of all, he says that this is a vague prophecy. No, it's not. It's claiming that this scripture, unlike other holy scriptures, is going to be preserved. 1,400 years later, it's preserved. That's very specific. That's a very risky thing, like Ward said. Number two, right? He doesn't understand how the method of preservation, which is oral mass memorization. This shows that people like Shabir Ali, these deviants, who sugarcoat the religion and stuff. It's just such a virus for the ummah.
Exactly.
Yeah, exactly. And he doesn't understand. He doesn't even know probably the aharuf and the qira'at and the variants of the Quran. So maybe he thinks that some of the variants are, basically the Quran being changed, but no. It's actually how the Quran came down, and many variants and stuff. Yeah.
And like I said, I predicted this a mile away. Like he's gonna bring someone who's not rasikh al-ilm, not a scholar, not even at least of a level of being an actual da'i, because at least a da'i would have enough knowledge to be able to make da'wah. This person, this brother here, with respect to him and everything, I have no idea who he is compared to the dua that we know and are familiar with. And further, like he hasn't even done. I'm pretty sure he hasn't even done the due diligence, at least to research. Who actually is a scholar of Islam? Who's actually those who have like so much knowledge on the religion? I mean, Shabir Ali. I mean, what? I mean, I know shiukh. I can name like 3 or 4 of them right now who are way more knowledgeable than Shabir Ali. Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Sheikh bin Abi Uthaymeen, Sheikh Ibn Baz, Sheikh Al-Albani. 4. Here you go. Here are 4. And if you want to,
in the same sentence.
You can even mention all the students of knowledge and stuff. Shabir Ali he's a deviant. He's a full-on deviant. Even a beginner in even a revert who just understands Sunnism is better than Shabir Ali.
Yeah.
Anyways, continue. Yes, let's continue.
Yeah.
And confirms this fact.
This is just simply the Quran. But this is not the only text of the Quran that is read throughout the world. In North Africa, there is a slightly different text that is based on a slightly different reading, mostly corresponding to what we read in the rest of the world, but with some slight variations that do not affect anything that Muslims believe and do not have any major impact on any Muslim practices. And then too, in some parts of Africa, there is another reading of the Quran and a matching manuscript that is prevalent. And here too, we find some slight variations.
All right, so let's take...
Okay, no, hold on. First of all, he's referring to the Qira'at and Ahruf, just like Brother JTM, which is his revision to JTM Muslim, referred to earlier. And 2, This does not equal the variations and changes we see occurring in the many multiple variations of the Bible that we have today, according to whatever like sect or church you follow, which of course is many, and of those there are many different types of Bibles, many different translations, many different what have you and what ifs and stuff like that. So again, it's a bit of an equivocation fallacy in that regard. So that you're trying to be like, oh, we have it, but you too have it. No, it's different, and they're it's called nodes, and they don't change the meaning. If you know the language, you would understand this. But sadly, you don't even know the language. You don't even haven't done proper due diligence in researching the religion, and so you came up with this 32 minutes and 46 seconds of waste of time for us to just use for our own benefit and for the benefit of the ummah. Anyway, I know you, Buzz, had you to say something.
Yeah, I just wanted to say, yeah, also, like the for the people who don't know about those things, there's literally a hadith that is authentic that talks about this. Basically the 7 different forms of the Quran, which are the ahruf and the qira'at that we can mention, because they are basically in the 10 qira'ats and stuff. And so all of this, it's not, the Quran hasn't been changed. It's literally mentioned in our text that the Quran has 7 different forms, and that's what Shabir Ali was mentioning here. So, yeah,
as much as
wrong.
As much as what we know about Shabir Ali, this is what he was actually referring to, not whatever this Christian fellow or this Catholic fellow is trying to insinuate. But anyway, moving on.
Take a look at some other reasons to think that the Quran is divinely inspired.
Allah challenges the reader to look for contradictions if they think the Quran is man-made. What we find is that the message is 100% consistent with absolutely no contradictions.
Well, the skeptics' annotated Quran has a fair number of alleged contradictions. Now, that author also does the same thing for the Bible, but Christians have a reply to those alleged contradictions that Muslims do not have. Christians believe the Bible's human authors were true authors. They were not mere secretaries writing down God's dictation. In 1 Corinthians, St. Paul talks about how he doesn't remember who he baptized.
Oh, he calls Paul St. Paul. All right, okay.
For example. So many skeptical arguments against the Bible can be explained by God allowing the human authors to do things like use ancient literary conventions, inexact summaries or genealogies, anthropomorphic language, or ancient scientific presuppositions the divine author had no need to correct.
That's false.
And false. Puts the question truth valueness of the very scripture that you're bringing forward, because any sane-minded individual would see numeric contradictions, weird overgeneralized summaries of genealogies like you just said, and all this other list of stuff that he just mentioned, and would really be puzzled because how could he accept a text with this many slight intricate differences and still think that, oh yeah, it must be divinely inspired, and you even dares to say that, oh yeah, God doesn't need to change it. What? God doesn't cause confusion.
There's a lot of ways to tackle this, but the only thing I'm going to mention is he's saying that biblical scholars have a way to explain it. Okay, I'll tell you, there's many ways to tackle this. I'm just going to use one way. The way they tackle it, by the covering the contradiction, is by changing the numbers. That's not an explanation, buddy. Changing 42 to 22 in other translations, that's not an explanation, man. That's changing the text.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, which is called the tahrif. Yeah. So
yes,
which of course, which Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala warned us about and has talked about, in history with regards to what the Jews and the Christians of their times used to do with their own scriptures. They corrupted them, and then what we have today is not the original authentic that Allah Subhanahu wa Ta'ala sent to each of their prophets. But yeah,
and I'm waiting for this guy to give an example of a contradiction in the Quran, since he's saying that there are many errors and we just brush. Okay, show us an example, please.
Okay, here we go.
The Quran, however, is supposed to be just the actual word of God. It is God speaking to us. So this explanation for Bible difficulties doesn't work for the many difficulties in the Quran, like its claim that semen comes from between the backbone and the ribs rather than the testicles.
Again with this.
That's not even... It's been such a long time that I actually dealt with this.
I mean, Can we? Because there are people who are probably gonna be new to this channel. If you could explain like this situation, let's just call it that, for everyone, I guess.
Well, let me get the verse real quick.
Yeah. Okay. Take your time. What was
You can see the video. What the viewers can do is join Shahada Mission and go to the channel because we have a channel on that.
Yeah, and you can also join the server and also look at the evidences we have on the server. And we also have a library as well. We have even more evidences, even more sources people can look at and study and stuff like that. So yeah, there's that in mind. But again, this goes back to what I said. Like, he doesn't know like Arabic, so of course he's gonna say something like this. He's gonna rely on translation and stuff like that. Again, hasn't done much research on the religion. Color me surprised. I'm sarcastic.
Even if there were no contradictions in the Quran at all, it was completely void of contradictions, that would not prove it was divine. You could write a fictional story that has absolutely no contradictions, but that wouldn't prove that the story is divinely inspired.
Again, if you look at the content of the Quran, at the time it was brought into, with the conditions and the settings of the Prophet, of how he lived, and you realize that not only was it consistent, but even brought information that no other being around him would know, because there wasn't even a source that was close enough to that he could have access prior to it, or to inspire the Quran from a neutralistic standpoint. You'd realize that it is really weird, again from a neutralistic standpoint, as to how such a book could have been made, produced, written, etc. Again, from a neutralistic standpoint. But as us, for Muslims, what we say is, no, it came directly from Allah to the Prophet through the angel Jibreel sent as a mercy to everyone, and as a way of guidance, or as a guidance rather, to humanity, so that they remember Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala as they do when they're born in their innate disposition, and to also obey Him and to avoid the evils that plague the world, because the evils are a test for humankind, because at the day of judgment everyone will be accounted for their own sins. But sadly, of course, throw that all out the window, because I didn't do enough research, and I'm just gonna use this video reference by some guy, again, with all due respect, was not a scholar, not even a Rasikh al-Ilm, not even a regular, da'i of like the amongst the dua that we know of, just to make a video wasting people's time. Anyway, I'm gonna continue.
You would need additional evidence that the error is absent because of divine intervention.
Allah also told us that He would make the Quran easy to learn. Today, millions of people around the world have the Quran stored in memory. Every single generation since the Quran was revealed has had memorizers, making it the only book in history to have passed down in both human memory and written form. If all books were to just disappear, the only one that would be back in a day is the Quran.
So what? There are many beliefs that are passed down in written and unwritten forms that people share all over the world, but that does not mean they're divine. Even if this were only true of the Quran, being unique is a common property of things in the natural world. That doesn't mean they're divine. Also, the Bible is easier to learn than the Quran, because Christians never say the Bible can only be truly understood in one language. The Quran, on the other hand, is only truly understood, Muslims say, when it is read in its original Arabic text.
Another lie.
In fact,
So first of all, the Quran, it's very simple, yeah? Mm-hmm. It's in theologically, it's very simple. One God, pure monotheism, prophets of God, God's scriptures in the past confirms them, right? All these things. Christianity, the only way you come to Christianity is if you put on the Trinitarian lenses and then read the Gospels. By reading the Gospels, right? It's so like that. This is why people leave Christianity, is they don't understand. The honest ones, I'm talking about the honest Christians, they leave Christianity. They don't understand the Bible. Where is Him being God? Where is this? I'm not going to go through all those verses and stuff right now, but it's confusing. The Trinity is confusing. It's not even in the Bible. And as a result, they leave. And 77% of them, statistically, where do they leave to? They leave to Islam. So, in America, I mean.
Void of statistics and using the material that we have to deal with, like, at least point me at least to one person who fully memorized the Bible, written or like in memory, and which Bible did they memorize, and what translation did they memorize, and under which edition did they memorize? Like, Again, the Quran doesn't have any of those. People memorize the Arabic, and even those who don't understand the language find it easy to like recite and memorize it. Though again, non-Arabs, there are non-Arab huffaz of the Quran who may not necessarily understand what the Quran says, but are able who have memorized it front to back, cover to cover. And then we have the Bible with its numerous translations, its numerous editions, its numerous compilations from various sections in churches. And yet not a single one person memorized an entire collection or compilation with and or without verses taken out or added in. We don't have such a person.
He's making it, everything you just said, he's making it seem like that's just another tradition. just some other tradition, just like any other tradition. That's not how.
This is okay. I'll be blunt, and I do apologize for being blunt, but being blunt is being truthful, right? This is what happens when an ignorant person talks without doing any form of respect or formulating any form of respect to the opposition, and just neglecting and being lazy and not actually doing at least a tiny bit of research. I mean, quite frankly, Google or Wikipedia even. But even though, again, like bad sources. But still, those would have sufficed maybe. And again, this is 6 minutes, 56 seconds. So maybe he might have done a tiny bit of research down the line in the video. But let's just keep going.
Muslims recognize that there are many people who can recite the Quran, but don't understand what they're reciting. Oh, yeah. One Muslim website says, there are these people who keep telling you to memorize the Quran and speak about the much reward you gain through memorization. There are so many Hafiz out there who memorize the Quran and do not even understand what it means.
First of all, it's Hafiz. Second of all, wait, hold on. It's about Islam.net actually. Like, I haven't heard about this website before. I know Islam QA, I know Sunnah.com, Torah.com, but otherwise about Islam.net.
Whatever, yeah. Let's continue.
Yeah.
I mean, this isn't.
Yeah.
End quote. So once again, we do not have evidence for a divinely inspired text. It may be a very unique text, but being unique does not entail being divine.
Amazingly, Allah told us that when people listen to the Quran being recited, they are impacted and you see them start to cry. Thanks to YouTube, we can see this happening with our own eyes. You see people who aren't even Muslim and don't even understand the language breaking down into tears. Even those who recite occasionally cry. What other speech can do this?
People have emotional reactions to Latin being chanted in a high mass.
I had a feeling. I was about to literally say it. It was at the tip of my tongue, and yet this guy stole it and just said it in my stead. This guy is predictable as the sunrise. What more could I say? He's just like any other person we have to deal with here.
Or many beautiful secular songs and poetry. You can find reaction videos online of people crying to all kinds of stuff. What man hasn't teared up when he watched that scene from The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air where Will gets abandoned by his father again?
Oh, we're doing
here's
this.
A guy crying.
Okay, we're doing this.
How is that a good comparison? Like, I don't understand.
Thank you.
That we're talking about the words of people like affecting other people, yeah, and like please like just show us like another, I don't know, maybe like a poem or something that would make people feel like this, when they don't even know the language.
Another false equivocation. It's like he's not even trying. He's the guy is not even trying. Another false equivocation is.
Yeah, we never said that. There's nothing else that can make you emotional and stuff. Yeah. No, talking about words that are spoken to you that make you emotional, and sometimes you don't even understand the words because you don't know the language. Just like those people who react to the Quran recitations and stuff. So, yeah.
I mean, I think he might make an argument that they could fake it even. Which those we can tell if they can fake it or not. But then again, those who are genuinely like reacting to this, it means it touched them. It means it actually did affect them in some matter of way. And we're not gonna pull a Christian thing, be like, oh, whatever. No, like it actually there's a seriousness within it. I mean, the Quran is its own self. It's soothing, and you cannot have a text that came again from the 7th century be this soothing as well. But anyway.
because he saw a double rainbow.
Oh my god, what does it mean? Help me.
Lots of things that are human or natural in origin can move people to have strong emotions. It does not mean that they're divinely inspired. So far, this is probably the weakest reason to think the Quran is divinely inspired.
All right, no problem.
But the next ones are hard.
Yeah, what?
Yeah, it's no problem. Okay, we'll give him the benefit. Okay, that's not proof for divine. Okay, sure. All right, we'll move on.
Hardly any better.
Linguistically speaking, the Quran remains the best Arabic literature to date. Since Arabic is arguably the most eloquent language to ever exist, this makes the Quran the most eloquent speech in the most eloquent language in history. The language of the Quran alone is enough to prove that it could not have come from man.
Even if something were the most eloquent example of human speech, that would not prove it is divine speech. Among human beings, there are people who are the fastest, or the strongest, or the smartest. But that doesn't mean their success has a divine origin. Everything in creation is going to exist on a gradient or a scale. So
Another falsification out of ignorance. I'm getting to see a pattern here.
Again, it's the lack of context. He doesn't know when, where, how, to who the Quran was revealed. He doesn't understand that at that time, the Arabs, they kind of sucked at everything except poetry and, linguistics and the Arabic language, the fluency, right? He doesn't understand that the Quran came at that time to a person who wasn't a poet, who wasn't good at poetry, right? And when this text came, it beat all those poets linguistically, eloquently, to the point that the text challenged them to bring a verse like it, a book like it, 10 verses like it, a verse like it, right? And instead of doing that, they went and waged war against these people because they couldn't produce something like that.
Also, a quick reminder, because we normally should do this in the beginning of every video, but we are like laymen. We're not scholars either. But then again, it doesn't take a scholar to tell this person what 2 + 2 equals. But at the same time, if you do catch us making mistakes, we're human after all. Do let us know in the comment section, and we'll absolutely take care of it the next time. And yeah, let's just move on.
Something inevitably is going to be at the top of the scale, but it doesn't mean that it is there at that location because of God's direct intervention. So even if some of human creation is the most eloquent, which is subjective and so impossible to prove, but even if it were, that wouldn't prove its eloquence required a divine cause.
Again, we just explained false equivocation due to ignorance, and ignorance of context, of time and place and setting and events in history. Let's just move on.
But of course, the narrator is assuming the Quran is the most eloquent form of human speech. He hasn't proven that.
This is something objective. Pause. This is something objective that even, I can name you a couple, even secular textual critics and stuff that comment on this, like Angelica Neuwirth. Yeah, Angelica Neuwirth is like a textual critic, German, of the Quran, and even she said that this challenge that the Quran imposes, it's never been met, and she calls it the embarrassment of the 21st century, because even to this day, there's nothing that matches the eloquency of the Quran. So this is something objective, and somebody like her who actually studied the Arabic language, studied the Quranic textual criticism, all these things, says these, and I can quote to other seculars as well who said the same thing. And so this is objective. It's not something subjective. Actually, there are certain criteria you can establish, which I'm not going to get into now, which shows and check marks all the boxes.
If it were so eloquent, millions of non-Muslims would read the Quran or simply listen to it, even if they couldn't understand it, because they appreciate its eloquence and how it sounds. But they don't do that. Millions of non-Christians do quote eloquent and moving passages of the Bible, probably more so than non-Muslims quote the Quran. But once again, this is a totally subjective criteria.
I mean,
I understand why he would say that, because it's like, okay, what's nice to you might not be nice to me. It's kind of like some music or whatever that they listen to. Oh, you like this, but I don't like it. But it's not like that, right? It's not like that at all.
And has it been in Muslim communities before who, multiple different accounts do mention the Quran in their everyday life, outside of prayer and outside of worship. But then again,
the Quran, like some of the things Yeah. Now, I was just going to mention some of the things like the ring structure, new terminologies like Ahl al-Kitab that were introduced in the Arabic language, right? So it was the purest form and the best structure that it came in from somebody who was not even a poet, right? Anyways, continue. Yeah.
Uh,
But once again, this is a totally subjective criteria that does not prove anything. The Lord of the Rings is one of the best-selling books of all time, and many people
Okay.
but that's not the claim, though. Oh my
It's not the comparison. Yeah, it's not the comparison.
Okay, let's move on.
consider its fictional elvish language to be quite beautiful, but that does not prove Frodo and Gandalf really existed. Just as I would not make this an argument for the truth of the Bible because of how weak it is, I cannot accept it as an argument for the truth of the Quran.
Add to this, the Quran
Yeah,
is
but
also jam-packed.
Just because you don't accept something doesn't mean other people won't. Again, as you said, something is subjective, no, is it? So, I mean,
But that's
I
not-
mean, I
that's
don't
not
know.
something- That's not something to claim for the Bible because the Bible doesn't claim that. If it claimed that, then sure, we can test that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't
Yeah,
claim
exactly.
that. We don't need to do that for the Bible. That's not the claim. Yeah.
Yeah.
There's a reason why it's unique. But yeah.
As an argument for the truth of the Quran.
Add to this, the Quran is also jam-packed full of scientific and historical accuracies that were impossible to have been known 14 centuries ago. From the Big Bang to the expansion of the universe and to every living thing being made from water. From the two seas that meet but don't mix to the accurate description of the human embryo. In fact, there are more than 1,000 scientific verses in the book, and not a single one of them can be disproved by established science.
This is called the
Okay, no. Let me hear what this guy has to say.
argument from impossible scientific foreknowledge, and some people use it to defend the Bible as well, but it's a bad argument. What ends up happening is you just take something that's really obscure in the Quran and say it predicts a modern scientific discovery. It's like people who take the really vague prophecies of the 16th century astrologer Nostradamus and then say, oh, see, this predicted the future, when it's so vague it could have predicted almost anything.
First of all, the signs in the Quran were actually clear; they're not vague. And second of all, I kind of a tiny bit in an agreement in the sense that it's not a great idea to say that Allah's speech in the Quran, has predicted human knowledge that came afterwards. That's not how things work. Because what should be happen, what should be actually real is that God. It's basically what this is God decreeing that first of all that he's confirming that of course he's all knowing, and second of all that he's decreeing events that will transpire later afterwards. And yet, our interpretation of such events and such details is, of course, going to be lesser or false. So to say that, oh yeah, scientific miracles in the Quran and stuff like that, sometimes it's spot on, sometimes it's not. So we don't use that usually a lot as our own number one standard to prove the Quran is from God. We go back to again, like I keep repeating, and it's a pattern I keep seeing, back to how the Quran is, from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is that it came from a setting from the 7th century where it's impossible to make such a thing that's so detailed to begin with from a guy living in the desert in the 7th century. Anyway, you brothers are eager to ask something. I know it.
No, I mean, we can carry on.
Oh, really? Okay. Because I saw you guys opening your mics, but anyway, okay, let's continue.
And the Quran does the same thing. For example, did the Quran describe the Big Bang and that all living things come from water? Surah 21:30 says this. Do the disbelievers not see that the heavens and the earth were one mass, and we tore
Interesting, doesn't even quote put the Arabic. Okay.
them apart, and we made from water every living thing? Will they not believe? A medieval person speculating that all matter was once together, then separated, is not the same as predicting that the universe expanded from an initial state of extremely high density and temperature. As for the prediction about water, every living thing isn't made out of water because they have other elements besides H2O, like carbon.
Okay, this is again.
That's not what it's saying. That's not what it's saying.
Specificity. Okay, so it doesn't say only. He didn't say only out of water. Again, even when a sentence, even the guy, even the brother who was speaking, he didn't say only of water, and then he's like, it's not only of water. That's not the argument. He didn't even say only from water. He said that it's made generally from water, but not only from water.
It's like saying in Genesis, it says God created Adam from dust. It's just dust. No, that's scientifically false.
Exactly.
It doesn't say just dust. Anyways.
Okay, moving on.
Carbon. They contain water, but they're not literally made of water. People have always known that living things depend on water to survive, or that if you grind up living things, moisture will come out of them. So this is not something that only divine inspiration could explain. A human author of the Quran could come up with something like this. As for the two seas that don't mix, many of the images Muslims show of this are not two seas mixing. It's water from things like glacial runoff, which is fresh water meeting with salt water, and salt water has a higher density because of its higher salt content.
Which is literally
Which is what it says.
Which is yes.
That's what it says. Yeah.
Yeah.
And the Prophet Muhammad, he didn't live in that part of the world where he can observe that.
He lived in 7th century Arabia, where witnessing such a thing far away is an impossible thing at his time. Like he'd have to, for him to go there, Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or for just a regular desert man, for a regular desert man to go from Arabia all the way to that section would probably take their lifetime, or half their lifetime. And then for them to go back and forth and come back with that, anyway, that's just, again, I guess. Let's move on.
And so it creates this barrier between them, but there's still a mixing. The verse in the Quran is probably referring to how freshwater rivers meet with saltwater oceans, and they don't mix together to cause either the freshwater river to become completely salty or the ocean to become completely fresh, which is something everyone in medieval Arabia knew anyways. As for embryology, the Quran relies on incredibly...
Wait. Source for that one?
Yeah, where's the source for that one?
Where's the... everyone in medieval Arabia, where's the source for that one? Even sorry for a source. Okay, here we go. Okay, let's just continue.
Vague references, like saying the early embryo exists in 3 veils of darkness, or that it's like a little leech. The word itself could also mean clot, and blood clots usually occur during miscarriages. Even if it doesn't mean that, Roman and Greek historians discovered these embryological facts centuries earlier, so the Quran's extremely vague descriptions are not very...
Where's the proof?
So once again...
Yeah, proof for that?
Yeah.
That's a lie. Because Professor Keithborg, when he was speaking about this, says that this was discovered in the 19th century, or 20th or 19th. So that's a lie.
The stages of embryonic and fetal development mentioned in the Quran should be used when teaching Muslim students because they are in accordance with our modern understanding of the development before birth.
Anyways,
Now he can... Maybe some of them thought about those things, but they weren't sure. But then how can we... The thing is, how does the Quran always get the things right? Because they will always say, oh, but these people, but they actually knew this before. Oh, the Chinese knew about this and that. But how come the Quran always gets everything right? That's the thing.
That too,
we know how it ended when the last atheist in the server came and said the Egyptians knew that there are 360 joints in a human body that the hadith mentions. We asked him for source and he left the server. You know how that works.
Yeah, exactly.
No one's gonna get that in reference, but okay.
And this is not an example of any kind of knowledge that would have been impossible for a human being at that time, that only God could have given through divine revelation.
The Quran, by far, is the most popular book in the world that is read billions of
I
times.
know what he's gonna say for this one. I know what he's gonna say for this one. Oh, what the problem is the poor guy the poor brother articulating this.
The poor funny brother, yes.
But I know what he's gonna probably say for this one. But anyway,
week in, week out, all year round. For these reasons, Muslims can proudly claim that the Quran is self-evident to be entirely from God.
According to the Guinness Book of World Records, the Bible is the best-selling book of all time, which makes sense because the Bible has been translated into over 700 languages, the New Testament into over 1,600.
What did I say? And did I stutter? No, except for maybe breathing and stuff. But again, I called it. Billions of light years away. Moving on.
But even if the Quran snagged the honor of being the best-selling book of all time, once again, that would not prove it's divinely inspired.
Okay, no problem. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine.
Next, the video tries to prove that Muhammad was a genuine prophet. Now, that's going to be difficult because the Quran says Muhammad did not perform any miracles. The Quran even describes people objecting to Muhammad because he did not perform miracles to validate his prophetic claims.
That's a lie.
That's not necessarily a lie. That's a misunderstanding of the verses.
Yeah, I know what he's gonna. Yeah, keep playing. Let's see.
Let's give.
It says in Surah 10:20, they ask, "Why has no other sign been sent down to him from his Lord?" Say, O Prophet, the knowledge of the unseen is with Allah alone. So wait, I too am waiting with you.
Okay, so at least here he puts the Arabic with the English translation. Okay. So
what he doesn't understand. First of all, right? Why are you leaving out other parts of the Quran where Allah says that He reveals it's the knowledge of the unseen is with Him, but what He reveals it to whoever He wants, to His messengers. Yeah. Which is why the Surah Rub exists, you know? This is why all those prophecies in the Hadith exist. Yeah. So, and I can say the same thing about Jesus in your New Testament, right? When the Pharisees came to him and asked for a sign, he rejected it. He rejected it. He said, the only sign that I'm going to give you is the one about Jonah, and that came false too. That's false. The 3 days in the belly, that one. It wasn't even 3. I'm not going to get into all that. But the point is, what did Jesus say? He said, you're a wicked generation, you guys don't deserve a sign. Right? Which is disingenuous of me to just show that. Because why? Because we know from other verses of the Bible that he did miracles, right? So I have to be honest about that, which he's not doing.
Yeah, and also, literally the verse, he's showing the verse. It says no other sign. This is just no sign. That's the first thing. Secondly, just gonna say something. Why doesn't he mention the verse that talks about the moon splitting, which is clearly a miracle, or this other verse? I think it's in Surah Al-Hijr, where it mentions that even if we open the skies, we open a gate from the skies, and whatever, then they would still not believe. That's also a miracle, showing that they will never believe. That's why. So
I also want to say you don't read the Quran from the middle. You read it from the beginning, or the surah from the beginning. He's just copy pasting something. If you read the next verse, it will be more clear as to what it's stating.
Yeah, if he reads like the entirety of the verses, like okay, some of us do fault by just picking a few verses of the Bible, but we don't see us picking one verse and just quoting a day. Like, no, we pick multiple different verses within the very chapter that we're quoting from, because unlike you, I guess you just pick one verse at a time. Of course, we don't do that. We don't cherry pick from the Quran.
But Muslim jargon. The thing is, okay, he can misunderstand something and stuff, but when you make a claim, like this, normally you're gonna check the commentary on it, because there's no commentary, no Muslim commentary that says that the Prophet ﷺ, by that verse, it means that he never did any miracle. That would be stupid for any Muslim to say that.
Well,
and on top of that, also when you literally bring a verse that says no other, meaning that there were other signs, to be honest, to me, I feel like he's a bit dishonest.
Anyway, again, like this guy, like I said, I keep saying again, he hasn't done proper research, but still, wait on.
However, Jesus Christ validated his message with miracles. In John 10:37-38, Jesus said, "If I am not doing the works of my Father, then do not believe me. But if I do them, even though you do not believe me, believe the works, that you may know and understand that the Father is in me, and I am in the Father." And the ultimate proof of Christ's divinity was his work of rising from the dead, which is a kind of miracle that Islam completely lacks.
Yeah, but at the same time, there's literally no historical source that says that he rose from the dead. Because if there were, then all historians would be Christian.
What about the verse in Matthew 16:4? A wicked and adulterous generation looks for a sign, but none will be given it except the son of Jonah. And the son of Jonah wasn't even it was false. So
because he was like,
exactly.
And this goes back to what he said earlier in the video. It was like, divinely inspired, and so the God didn't need to, correct them or do much because, here you go. You got some examples here that prove that actually no, that's something that cannot happen for an actual scripture. But
and since Islam denies the resurrection of Christ, I have to deny Islam because the evidence convinces me that Jesus Christ rose from the dead.
I just want to say something. Also, the New Testament, if you actually compare it, if you have to compare it to something in the Islamic scriptures and stuff, we would compare it to the Hadith, because the New Testament is more like a biography of the life of Jesus with his companions and stuff. And if we look into the Hadith, then of course we're gonna find many of the companions attesting to the fact that the Prophet ﷺ performed miracles.
Yeah.
So there's literally, and no Muslim understands by that verse. Again, I'm saying it again. No Muslim understand that he performed no miracles. It's only the Christians who say that.
I mean, even secular sources that have found none of them have interpreted this way. None of them. It's only Christians.
I mean, another miracle though. It's I'm just gonna say it as it is. Another miracle is that Abu Lahab, because there's a whole entire surah dedicated to him, where Allah Subhanahu wa Taala speaks about how he will be in hellfire, and because he's not he was a staunch enemy of the Prophet ﷺ, and that he would never ever accept the religion and never become Muslim. At any given moment in time, do you know how this guy not know how risky that is? Like, at any given moment in time, he would have just pulled him false and said made the shahada and became Muslim. But in his entire life, he died not accepting Islam. He died. About that. Yeah, and of course he doesn't know about this. He doesn't, because he again hasn't done research. But anyway, I even doubt he even read the Quran front to cover. Anyway. But yeah.
Now, I'm not going to defend that fact in this episode. You can check out other debates and episodes where I have done that. But even if I were not a Christian, as I said earlier, I still would not be convinced of Islam. Now, Muslim apologists claim Muhammad did perform miracles. Some claim this, based on later oral traditions. People like Sheikh Uthman, who say that Muhammad split the moon in two.
Wait a minute.
He said some Muslim apologists say that Muhammad did miracles. All of them mentioning that.
All of them, not some. All of them. If you say some, the rest are not Muslim.
Yeah, all of them. Yeah.
Now he's about to do a double standards. Watch. Just look at this hypocrisy.
Yeah. Watch this.
Oral traditions. People like Sheikh Uthman, who say that Muhammad split the moon in two and that this miracle can be known historically. Check out my episode on that in the description link below. But I will add one detail I did not mention in that original episode. So something like that may have happened to Muhammad and other witnesses, but it has a natural explanation. Then you might be thinking, what would cause Muhammad and his companions to think that Muhammad had split the moon in two? Well, on June 18th in the year 1178, 5 monks in Canterbury, England, claimed they saw the moon split. They said the upper horn of the moon split in two, and a flaming torch sprang up, spewing out over a considerable distance fire, hot coals, and sparks. Scientists today, some say that the monks saw an asteroid hit the moon or a meteor explode in the atmosphere at just the right angle so that the moon was also in their line of sight, and it appeared that the explosion happened on the moon's surface. So that may have been what happened to Muhammad and his companions, unless the story is just completely made up because it's a later oral tradition.
Oh, wow. So you're telling me that when he was asked to perform a miracle, he performed it. You're telling me that exactly at that moment this happened. You really got to be dishonest to actually believe this.
He's an idiot to say. Oh my God.
and catch what he said at the end. Maybe false because of our oral tradition that came after. Again with this argument.
There's no dalil.
Does he? He doesn't know that. He doesn't know that the companions recorded even the hadith with the whilst memorizing the Quran, does he? Yeah, of course he doesn't. Well, yeah.
I think they just prefer to say that the Prophet ﷺ was the luckiest guy ever, but he's not a prophet. They would do anything to not accept him as a prophet. They say, he was lucky. Oh, he knew about this because of this. Oh, he knew this because of this. Oh, this happened exactly at that moment. But yeah, he's not a prophet.
Denial out of ignorance.
That's crazy.
Man, denial out of ignorance.
So no, Muhammad did not split the moon.
Pause. I heard, like, I've seen stories, not just heard, I read them, that there were some people after like a couple of days, like they actually rose from the dead, like they woke up, like a few, like during the funeral, you guys heard of those stories where like, a person wakes up like from the funeral, you heard of those stories. Yeah, so okay, so same thing with the Christian Jesus then. This coincidentally he just woke up,
I mean, I also
exactly.
I also saw like some crazy stuff going on in Africa, where some priests bring people back from life. I mean, it's miraculous. You know what I'm saying? It's pretty crazy. You know, ooh.
Made up because it's a later oral tradition. So no, Muhammad did not split the moon or perform any other miracles. Most Muslims don't even rely on that to try to prove he was a prophet. This video certainly does.
No, what? Literally every Muslim you see uses hadith. Literally every Muslim you see.
He's talking to Qadianis, man.
He's talking to Qadian.
That's not possible, bro.
Or either he's speaking to those submissionists too. Speaking to hadith rejectors. Spoke to Rashad
Khalifa.
Okay, you guys. Okay, wow. All right. Ouch. Okay.
We have other reasons, though, to think Muhammad was a genuine prophet, even though he didn't perform any miracles. Let's see.
His life is so well documented because of the impact he had on his people. We know things like how he used to eat and even the position he used to sleep. It wouldn't be far from accurate to say that we know more about him than any other historical figure.
If you think about that claim for more than 5 seconds, you can see it's not true at all. The Quran has hardly any information.
Let him make his argument. I want to hear this. I want to hear this. I want to hear this fall on his face. Hold on.
If you think about that claim for more than 5 seconds, you can see it's not true at all. The Quran has hardly any information about Muhammad, and the first biography about him was not written until about 100 years after his death.
Knew it!
I'm telling you, he's getting his information from a hadith rejector.
I mean, this guy, we use hadith. We literally know how many gray hairs he had on his beard. I think it was 17. We literally know everything about him from his prophethood. Even before his prophethood, we know his character. We know who his wife was. We know his children. We know his children who died when they were young. We know everything about him. There's literally there's not a question that can go unanswered about him at this point. But yeah, we know his character, his truthfulness, etc. So he's speaking the Quran, man. He's not even speaking the
Listen, we know his characteristics because we know his companions, right? We know their memory, we know their life, we have their biography as well. We know the people that he passed on to until they were written, right? Okay, my question to him, who is Mark? What's his last name? When was he born? Who's his people? Right?
Who's he the son of?
Where does it say? When was it written? He's saying the Quran was, the hadiths were written after 100, 200 years. Okay, Mark, Matthew, when were they? Who are they, anyways?
Who were their families? What were their groups like? What was his ancestry? The thing is that what he doesn't know is we have this information, and we call it ilm rijal. We have this information of those who memorize the Quran and also memorize the narrations as well. We have them by name, by lineage, what they used to do, what their lineage used to do, before and after Islam. Every little detail you could think of was documented, well documented in these manners and forms. And yet this guy, of course, I mean, for crying out loud, we don't even know who Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John really are. We don't have an ultimate concrete answer. The churches would say whatever they want to say, but do we have a concrete answer? Do we have an actual solid proof that Mark, this was his father, he used to live like this, he used to do this, he learned this from this, he wrote this at this time? No, we don't. We only got is whatever the church fathers would say, or whatever the people, the disingenuous people would have to say and stuff like that, and inferences and whatnot. We have nothing concrete.
And since he wants to bring up scholars, the New Testament scholars, even the Christian ones, literally say that the Gospels are anonymous. You can throw Bart Ehrman on us. What about Bruce Metzger? What about John McCarthy's study Bible? They're Christians.
They're not Muslims. They're not Muslims.
Literally, the study Bible of John MacArthur's study Bible. McCarthy, I forgot the last name. Literally, the first few pages says the Gospels are anonymous. Okay, so why do you believe it? Why do you believe he rose from the dead, narrated by people who you don't even know? We don't even know if they existed.
Moving on.
The fact that there are books arguing that Muhammad never existed shows.
Of course, Robert Spencer. Of course. Of course. Oh.
I mean, completely leave out the fact that we have more than 5 historical secular sources which say that he existed. Completely leave that fact out. Leave the fact out that Napoleon praised him, but use Robert Spencer, of course, yeah.
There's literally,
of course.
early church fathers who insulted the prophet. That's a proof too he existed.
Exactly.
He was a false prophet.
And other people from faraway lands, like I think from China. Wasn't there like a Buddhist or something that wrote about the Prophet?
Yeah.
They're like a lot of people at his time and even after his passing, I saw some who know about his existence and will attest to it. And yet we have this guy using what, a modern day nobody known as Robert Spencer, who isn't even a scholar of Islam. Are you serious? He's not. Again, I'll keep saying this. He's not even trying. He doesn't want to try. He doesn't want to try. He just made like 33 minutes of time wasters. He doesn't even want to try.
Have less information about him than many other historical figures who no one doubts.
Wait, hold on. Go back.
The Quran has hardly any information about Muhammad, and the first biography about him was not written until about 100 years after his death. The fact that there are books arguing that Muhammad never existed shows we have less information about him than many other historical figures who no one doubts.
1 second. Can you?
Nobody doubts Muhammad. Nobody doubts Muhammad Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam except you and Robert Spencer. That's it. You two are the only idiots on living on this world today who deny his. No historian actually denies his existence. Nobody. Where do you think the Abbasid Caliphate and Rashidun Caliphate, Umayyad Caliphate, where did it originate from? Just popped out of thin air and just conquered Rome and Persia.
We even have some letters that attest to what the Prophet said, what he sent and stuff.
Exactly.
To the kings and stuff. So.
I mean, are you telling me? You're telling me a man named Abu Bakr or anyone? They fooled the whole of Arabia. They fooled the whole of Arabia about a man who doesn't even exist. How is that possible?
And they didn't take credit for themselves. They gave credit to a person who never existed. Wow.
Yeah.
Makes sense. Good job.
And even archaeological findings, and even like we call it ether and stuff like that. Nothing, huh? Okay, nothing. Okay.
Now, I think Muhammad did exist, but the fact is, it's
okay. Wait, what? Okay, hold on. Let's hear this guy speak his speech.
Figures who no one doubts. Now, I think Muhammad did exist, but the fact is, it's absurd to say we have more information about him than any other historical figure.
We do though. We have something that's exclusively to our traditions. That's not. We have a whole methodology on identifying fabrications and weak narrations. If there's a single liar who's narrating the tradition, we literally deem it not authentic.
Yeah.
What do you have, bro? You don't even know Mark's last name.
Yeah. I mean, just bring a name.
One
historical figure that is more documented than him. Just bring one name, please.
Yeah, in an authentic fashion too. Yeah.
Yeah, even Jesus, they know nothing about Jesus before he was 30 or 33.
Exactly. Yeah. Bro, a man claimed to be God. We have to know, when did he claim to be God? We have to know what were they doing? What were the disciples doing?
Yeah. That's also another thing. Right? That's another thing. Like an event as humongous and monumentous as that is not well documented.
Right.
Actually, I'm being serious. Actually, I'm being candid. To the Christian brothers and sisters, a moment that would define your own religion is of such magnitude of being calling himself God is not documented well enough in your own scripture, and you still take it as part of your own beliefs and scripture and everything in your life and part of your dogma. You really just give yourself, have mercy upon your Brother Wajid Aqai would say, have mercy upon your miskeen souls and just think about it. A moment such as this, not well documented. Just think. Think. That's all we ask for. Just think.
In fact, some Muslim apologists have even adopted a view called Quranism. It's a kind of
Okay, all right.
That's not
okay.
what they-
Okay. Thank you guys for watching this video. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, it's
Most of
it's
the
like
time.
talking about the Mormons, and who cares about them? You know, when you're a Christian. Oh man.
My God.
Muslim sola scriptura that restricts Muslim
But
beliefs to the
no
Quran
Muslim
alone
apologists,
and rejects the Hadith and later traditions as being unreliable. By the same way, Christians also make this error when they make claims like, we have more evidence for Jesus than for anyone else in ancient history, which is not true. We have more evidence for Roman emperors and well-published philosophers, but it doesn't matter. We have sufficient evidence to believe that Jesus Christ existed and that he made radical divine claims about himself and that his followers claimed to have seen him alive after his crucifixion.
And that's not subjective, apparently. That we have sufficient evidence. Okay. Bias. I call bias.
Walking bias, yeah.
Next.
And this evidence is far better than the evidence we have from Muhammad, because it at least comes from within the lifetime of Jesus' followers. The same cannot be said of the sources
No,
from
it doesn't.
Muhammad that sometimes comes centuries later.
No, it doesn't.
I literally
Yes.
just said that they documented it in his life.
Who told you this, bro? Like, I want to know who told him this. You know, please show me one manuscript that dates back to the 1st century. No, actually, no, all right, move on.
Yeah, no, they said about the Bible. He's referring to the Bible. I mean, no, we're talking about like the thing is like he doesn't do research on Islam. Rather, he does research against Islam using different sources from non-Muslims and from non-Muslim scholars, and even from scholars that are like I keep seeing a pattern here because we've been used to this kind of horsecraft for so long now that it's getting boring.
But look, even if we had a perfect record of Muhammad's life, that in and of itself would not prove he was a prophet, rather than just a unique figure of his own time period, because Muhammad never performed any
He literally
miracles or
said
did
anything
anything
that
to
stays a
show that he
prophet.
was a prophet who had divine authority, rather than just a charismatic human leader.
We did this. He's making this argument out of progression because we already tackled every single point he made, and this is the conclusion. The current conclusion came in at this point of this video out of progression. Let's just move on. We don't want to waste too much time on this. Let's just move on, guys.
All of this information literally invites us to study his life and make a rational decision to see if he was actually a prophet or not.
Something this guy hasn't done clearly.
There are 3 possibilities for this claim. Either he was lying, or he was mad, or he was telling the truth.
Ah, yes, Lord, liar, or lunatic, right? That's the classic trilemma from C.S. Lewis. In this case, I guess it would be prophet, liar, or lunatic. But the trilemma would work. It works for Jesus, but it does not work for Muhammad. Muhammad claimed that God spoke to him. Jesus claimed to be God. It's not.
Okay,
That's worse. That's worse.
Where's the sauce for that one? I would love to see and taste that sauce, please. Thank you, chef.
that crazy to think God spoke to you. Lots of sane people think God speaks to them in prayer.
Okay, hold on. Stop. Pause. Okay, let's be courteous human beings. Let's let him repeat himself. Hold on.
Trilemma would work. It works for Jesus, but it does not work for Muhammad. Muhammad claimed that God spoke to him. Jesus claimed to be God.
Apparently,
It's not that crazy to think God spoke to you. Lots of sane people think God speaks to them in prayer through their own inner monologue or inner thoughts.
Okay.
Wait. Continue.
okay.
Continue.
Okay.
But thinking you are God is, as C.S. Lewis put it, like thinking you are a poached egg.
It's even worse. If you think you're, it's even worse.
It's even worse.
Yeah.
We have pantheists who believe they're God. We have pantheists who believe they're God.
Yeah, there's people who actually claim that they're God. Yeah, that's even worse, and they can't prove it. You know, they can't prove it. Yeah.
Let's just move on.
Let's listen to this. Where he goes with this.
Muhammad could have just been sincerely mistaken, just as Muslims would have to say the same thing about other sane people throughout history, and even up to the present day, who think that God revealed something to them through a charismatic prayer or some other religious experience.
I wish you could see my face. Wallahi, I wish you could see my face right now.
On a side
thing
note,
is-
Muslims
Yeah. No, it's fine. Continue.
Okay.
charismatic prayer or some other religious experience. On a side note, Muslims believe that the Bible is a part of divine revelation, but that it was corrupted. So they say Jesus, yes, he was miraculously born, but they also say that Jesus never claimed to be God, was not crucified, and did not rise from the dead, believing that comes from corrupted elements in the New Testament documents, not from the originals that come from God and being a part of divine revelation. Muslims love to quote critical scholars like Bart Ehrman to try and show that the Bible is corrupted. But they don't point out that even critical scholars like Bart Ehrman agree that parts of the original text of the Bible, like the Gospel of John, for example, do teach that Jesus is God, which contradicts Islam, of course.
Pause. He's misrepresenting Bart Ehrman.
Bart Ehrman.
He uses that as an evidence for the fact that Jesus didn't claim to be God because the earlier Gospels don't portray that. It's the latest Gospel that's shown. So he's literally lying.
Did Jesus' earliest followers consider him to be God?
Well, what I argue in the book is that during his lifetime, Jesus himself didn't call himself God and didn't consider himself God, and that none of his disciples had any inkling at all that he was God.
Yeah, literally.
Yeah, Bart
Yeah.
Ehrman even said, who's to say their name is Mark, John, Luke? Till he said you can name them whatever you want because you don't know who they are.
Well, they call them Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John because we don't know who wrote these books, and there's no point calling them Sam, Fred, Jerry, and Harry. I mean, they're written by people we don't know who they were written by.
No, not
That's the
even
same.
that. No, not even that's something else. That's anonymous authorship.
Yeah.
But the point I'm making is that he's using that as an evidence that Jesus claimed to be God. But and he's quoting Bart Ehrman. But Bart Ehrman uses the same thing to show that Jesus never claimed to be God because that was
Yeah.
after, not before. That's this guy, man.
Yeah, and the Gospel of Mark was the first one that they took from that Gospel, but that Gospel isn't like, showing that basically Jesus is God. So yeah.
Shows the
So
opposite.
I don't know. Yeah, it just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, moving on.
Of course. So let's continue with the Muslim trilemma for Muhammad.
The Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, received the first revelation from God at the age of 40. This means he lived a completely normal life for 40 years before becoming a prophet. In these 40 years, he built a reputation in his community and they literally nicknamed him the truthful and the trustworthy. He was known to have never told a single lie. Think about it. 40 years of sincerity and then to suddenly come up with a monumental lie like being a prophet doesn't make any logical sense.
The claim that Muhammad never lied comes from a hadith written 200
Especially
years
when he
after
was
he
40.
died.
Again. Oh. 200 years after. 200 years after. 200 years after.
One thing the viewers, the people who are watching this, they have to know is that, think about it. Okay. You have to understand his social status, number one. Number two, you have to understand that there's a reason. Listen, people might offer you money. People might offer you woman. Yeah. But to offer you leadership is a whole new level. So when the leaders, the Quraysh, offered him even leadership, that shows that they actually did trust him,
And even, you
So
know what he
like-
said? With everything that's going on, he even said, even if you offer me, put the sun on one hand, the moon on one hand, he will still not stop preaching, Islam. He will still not, disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala.
Yeah. And then that makes you question, okay, why would he lie for? He had everything. Why did he lie? Why did he reject? Was it for materialistic reason? That's usually the case, right?
And he was,
Either he was
and people need to understand, he was threatened, he was attacked, he was berated, abused, and everything. Him and his companions, all of this has happened, and yet they still believed in this. And at the end of the day, when they returned back to Mecca, he forgave them all. Like any normal human being would find all of these amazing feats impossible to replicate or be in. If any human being were to be under such extraneous torture, and yet he was patient for all this, him and his companions, and he came back and forgave those who did so much harm against him and his companions and his followers. And of course, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what more do you want? What more do you want?
All of this comes 200 years after the time of the
Yeah,
Prophet.
it comes 200 years.
Yeah, it comes 200 years after. It's
Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John didn't, obviously.
yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely no one actually met him before and wrote stuff immediately and stuff like nah, none of that happened. It came 200 years after, guys. Come on.
The Quran itself
before that,
suggests
didn't he
that
say
some
the-
people did accuse Muhammad of lying about God.
Wait, hold on, brother, hold on. I want to hear this. Hold on.
That Muhammad never lied comes from a hadith written 200 years after he died. The Quran itself suggests that some people did accuse Muhammad of lying about God. One translation of Surah 35:4 says, "If they call you a liar, prophet, many messengers before you were also called liars. It is to God that all things will be returned."
What's that translation?
Wait, which verse is that? Which verse is that?
Thank you. Like, what even is that? Like, he didn't even show anything this time. What?
Many liars came before. I don't recall. Hold on. What? I think, is he referring to that?
No, there
Is-
is
he
a
said
verse.
one-
There is a verse like this. That's not the problem. The problem is the fact that he's using this as an evidence,
Against.
and like I don't know why it feels like he has a double standard. Because if we go to for example, the life of Jesus, Jesus was also called a liar, or someone who basically was a servant of Satan. But of course, we no one would believe that, and
Nah,
he probably wouldn't believe that.
JTM, there's no verse like that. Or at least he's completely reading it. There's no such verse. Like the way he said it, at least, it's not like that. Because I don't find... I know which verse he's referring to, but I think it's referring to many men came before you. It doesn't say liars.
No, it says no. It's Surat. It's where it basically says if they reject you, if they deny you, or if they the word in Arabic is it's basically the same word as lying. Yeah, it's,
We'll find it. Yeah, we'll find it after.
I'll edit it in afterwards. Yeah. Well, once I'm editing this, the buzz will find the verse for me. I'll put it on screen for you guys to see. But yeah, let's move on.
One modern commentator says the meaning of the verse is about those who accuse you, Muhammad, of having made a false claim to prophethood. Besides, lots of other founders of...
Who is the commentator?
Yeah, but
what volume? The name of the book?
Just some commentator. Okay.
Dalil, akhi, Dalil.
Religions led normal, well-respected lives.
He's misrepresented what Riyad said. Riyad said before prophethood he was never said to lie.
Yeah,
of course, a person will be accused of lying when he claims he's a prophet. Of course, it's going to happen.
Exactly. Yeah, it's before. Yeah.
Anyway, continue.
Accuse you, Muhammad, of having made a false claim to prophethood. Besides, lots of other founders of religions led normal, well-respected lives before claiming God spoke to them. But Muslims don't believe their testimonies. Finally, as I said before, Muhammad could...
Wait, what? Wait,
he didn't even mention anyone.
Wait, hold on. Let's make sure I get it. Hold on, I want to understand this. What?
Other founders of religions led normal, well-respected lives before claiming God spoke to them. But Muslims don't believe their testimonies.
Such as, yeah, I'm in agreement by asking such as who, names, anything.
Finally, as I said before, Muhammad could have
no names, okay,
just been sincerely mistaken about the source of what he thought was divine revelation. Keep in mind that Muhammad did not have an experience where an angel showed him all the contents of the Quran, which is about 77,000 words long, in one sitting. Muhammad progressively recited what he claimed to have received over the course of 23 years to his companions who wrote that down.
Okay, and apparently that's a bad point because...
What? Yeah, I don't understand.
Like, are you suggesting that those who wrote the manuscripts wrote those in one sitting, and that makes it better?
No, he's not talking about that. He's talking about... I don't even know what he's talking about. I know he's not. He's talking about like during the lifetime, so it can't be after. But yeah, what's your point?
That's more than enough time to convince yourself God is speaking to you and slowly recite what you think God is saying.
And accidentally split the moon.
No. What you think? You think God is saying, and apparently nail every little detail correctly.
Yeah, continue.
Shay Ajib.
The Prophet was also known to have so much wisdom, and his character was impeccable. People used to race to serve him in any way they could. Muslims and non-Muslims turned to him for advice, and he never said no to any request. These are not qualities of someone that is mad.
First, a lot of this testimony is historically suspect, so it's not great to build your religion on it.
At least give us Dalil.
200 years. yeah. How to dismantle oral narrations 101. Step number 1, 200 years. Step number 2, keep repeating that argument over and over again.
Second, as I said before, you could be sincerely mistaken, not insane. Or you could be a high-functioning, deluded person.
Okay, why would people follow a delusional person?
But no. Forget that. How is that even a thing in 7th century Arabia? How is that even a thing? Okay, again, same cycle, same pattern, over and over again.
Listen, a person can be insane in the 7th century. Okay, that's not the issue. Right? But the point is, why did people believe him? Why did they continue to follow him? Why was he growing? Why did he not give up? Why was he somehow accidentally fulfilling all these prophecies and making prophecies and accidentally splitting the moon while not lying? And he accidentally conquered all of Arabia.
Oh no, you don't understand. You don't understand. He was the luckiest guy.
Accidentally conquered. Accidentally, a delusional person accidentally conquered Rome and Persia.
Oh yeah, and in one instance where they were at war with a bunch of tribes in the trenches, whilst the people normally would fear for if they don't even know if they're gonna be alive or not. He came and told them what land they will conquer and stuff like that. Yeah, no, he was just super lucky. He was supremely lucky, man. All the planets and stars aligned together in one single straight one-dimensional line, and then suddenly some stuff. Electromagnetic forces came together and decided to pick this man out of all the creations in the world at that time to be lucky. That makes more sense. You know what I'm saying?
That's coincidence.
Or you could have
man.
Coincidence, yeah.
Oh yeah, coincidence.
not insane. Or you could be a high-functioning, deluded person. Or you could have some combination of innate wisdom, even if we grant this, and delusions of grandeur. None of this demands a supernatural explanation.
Moving on.
Jesus, in contrast, did not act like a prophet or an alleged prophet like Muhammad. He didn't act like someone who pointed to God as his ultimate authority. Jesus pointed to...
Oh, okay. All right. No. Let me say something. To all the Christians at home and even the Catholics at home, are you sure in this video that he's one of you guys? I am pretty sure what he just said took him out of your fold. I'm just saying.
Listen to this verse, yeah? Listen to this verse from the Bible. I have it memorized because of how many times I literally quote this. This is what Jesus says, yeah. By myself, I can do nothing. I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is judged. For I seek not to please myself, but him who sent me. That's it. Moving on. He literally said in that verse exactly the opposite of what this ignoramus just said.
Wait, hold on. Is
literally the exact opposite.
Okay, let's be fair. Is that in the Catholic Bible? Yes or no?
It is, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, it is. You can find it in any Bible.
Wait, he's a Catholic. This is a Catholic, right?
I don't know.
Actually, let me double check. I'm pretty sure he said. Yeah, I'm pretty sure he said it was a Catholic. Let me double check. Hold on. The Council of Trent is a popular podcast featuring Trent Hom, where he helps Catholics answer the toughest objections against our faith. Okay, so the best Catholic writers and speakers in the world today. Okay, these are some of his videos. Catholic. Yeah, nice. He's Catholic. Okay, fantastic.
Himself often. Jesus said that he was an ultimate authority because of his radical, unique relationship to God. He said that he was the way, the truth, the life, the one who came into the world, the one who would judge the world.
Okay.
You know what's funny? The verse I just quoted, he literally says, "I have no authority." That's hilarious.
I mean, if he wants to say Jesus is the truth, during his time, I do not deny that he could have been the truth during his time. But yeah.
Me neither, yeah. And for his own people, I came from the lost sheep of Israel, right?
Yeah.
I mean, and here's me not knowing a lot of things about the Bible. Here I am quoting a Bible verse. I mean, oh yeah. How about this one? No. The cup. My Lord, why have you forsaken me? I mean,
In the parable of the wicked tenants, which most
Not
critical
just- not
scholars
just
believe
this
to be
one,
authentic.
Also,
wait, hold on. The parable of what tenants? Hold
I
on.
was gonna say something.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was gonna say also because he said he's the ultimate judge. Yeah, there is a verse, John 5:30, where it
Mhm.
says, "By myself I can do nothing. I judge only as I hear, and my judgment is just. For I seek not to
I just
please
quoted
myself,
it.
but him who sent me."
Brother,
I just quoted it.
Squid already quoted that verse,
That's
but
exactly the one he quoted.
yeah, it's literally the exact same
But
one. Yeah.
this guy has not been
Okay,
listening.
because you said Jim said authority, so I thought it was another one. Okay,
Oh,
No,
okay.
it's a
good.
different
Never know.
translation.
Anyway, yeah, that too, exactly, that too. Anyway, continue.
Different translation.
parable-
I'm sorry. You know, we don't have the original, Bible. It's not my fault.
Oh, okay. Okay, let's just hear this because we keep cutting him.
The wicked tenants, which the one who would judge the world. In the parable of the wicked tenants, which most critical scholars believe to be authentic, Jesus identifies not with the servants who symbolize God's prophets, but the son of the vineyard owner, the Son of God.
I don't know Bible to comment on this. You guys have any clue what he's talking about?
Sorry, I wasn't listening. Go back.
I told you. All right, here we go.
Truth, the life, the one who came into the world, the one who would judge the world. In the parable of the wicked tenants, which most critical scholars believe to be authentic, Jesus identifies not with the servants who symbolize God's prophets, but the son of the vineyard owner.
What?
You know what's funny? That verse, that whole passage goes against him. That whole passage. The whole.
What a liar!
He's lying. He's a liar. Yeah. So
He's a liar.
number one, okay, we have no issues. He was given truth. He was given authority. Yeah. No one gets to the Father through him. Okay, we agree with that. Doesn't make him God. Right? You have to follow God. Okay, but anyways, yeah. Parable of the tenants. The whole story is basically, it ends with Jesus saying that the kingdom of God will be taken away from you, the Israelites, given to another nation. So I don't know how he's gluing that into his little theology. I don't understand.
I have no idea. I mean, that's technically anyone, right? I'm sorry, but I think that's right. Yeah, that's any guy who follows the Bible is like, I just think this verse. I think it follows my narrative. Let's forget any verse before and after. Just use it. Yeah.
In those verses, he wasn't even speaking about himself. He was speaking about the previous prophets that got killed by the Israelites. Has nothing to do with what he's saying. Anyways, yeah.
That's good.
And he said son. I don't know what he's talking about, but yeah.
Yeah,
The Son of God.
Oh, there you go. Anyways, continue.
So while Muslims often claim that Jesus was another prophet, just like Moses and Muhammad is the final prophet, Jesus certainly did not act like a prophet. He performed miracles on his own authority.
Okay, we
he claimed to be a prophet.
On his own authority.
Now this is the term.
There's a verse where
You're
he
the
claims to
only
be a
true
prophet.
God. Yeah.
Sorry.
No, it's fine.
No, say it.
No, I was just quoting, you are the only true God and Jesus Christ whom you have sent. Jesus Christ whom you have sent, somebody who's sent by God is a prophet. There's so many verses. Nobody went and said, look, there's God. This is Jesus of Nazareth, the prophet. This is the prophet, Jesus of Nazareth.
But Squid, the Christians use this. They use that verse to say that Jesus is also God. That's what he says. And Jesus Christ is you sent. They say that and here is for him and him.
No, this verse, no, like they can't explain it.
Yeah, I know. I'm trying to say.
Listen, there's literally a verse. Yeah, I think it's in the 4 Gospels where basically Jesus get mocked or something like that by the people and stuff. And so at the end, Jesus ended up saying to them, okay, I'm going to find the verse. It's here. Then Jesus told them, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown and among his relatives and his own family. And then after saying this, then he left. And it says he left and he didn't perform any miracles after that. And so this clearly shows he was talking about himself. Where people were mocking him, his own people and stuff. So then he said, a prophet is honored everywhere except in his own hometown. So this is a proof clearly that he is a prophet. He claims to be a prophet, and everyone claimed that he was a prophet. So in his time, yeah.
It's Mark 6:4, yeah.
Yeah.
All right, continue.
Yeah.
So he's
and
a liar.
claimed not
Yeah.
just to be a prophet of God, but to be the unique, only begotten Son of God.
That's not true.
So he just
'cause
answered
there-
his own question.
Wait, hold on. Because there are other begotten sons of God in the Old New Testament.
Wait, Dragon. Before even that, he just spent like a whole minute saying that Muslims claim like that Jesus is a prophet, but the Bible doesn't say Jesus is a prophet. And then he continues to say he is a prophet.
but he doesn't do miracle. But he doesn't,
Yeah,
do whatever the Prophet ﷺ does, to prove that he's a prophet.
So
Like
what's
what?
the point
Wait,
of
like,
saying-
okay, like Phil, maybe goddamn mind, man.
Perhaps the biggest proof for me is that the Prophet could not read or write, had no educational background, yet was able to bring forth the Quran that remains the best literature the world has seen even after 1400 years. Logically, this is enough to verify his prophethood.
Muhammad didn't have to be able to read or write if he had heard enough Arabic poetry in his life and other religious texts.
But there's literally a hadith where Abu Bakr radiallahu anhu, corrects him on his poetry.
And not just that.
Literally,
Forget
it
that.
was-
He mentions religious texts. Dude, if I correct me if I'm wrong, but there was no other religious text for him to refer to at his time, right?
Yeah, there was none.
Yeah, there was no Arabic Bible or anything, and there were no Jews in Mecca. So
Yeah.
he's coping hard, man. And this argument that he could just learn. He tried doing poetry, he failed.
Yes, and we have evidence of this. He tried to do poetry and he failed.
And that's like saying
That further proves that he couldn't have possibly come up with something as eloquent as the Quran. He couldn't.
And what he just said, right? That's like saying, oh, this person, he listens to a lot of rap. Therefore, he knows how to rap.
Even though rap didn't exist, when he was allegedly listening to it at his time. Yeah. Anyway.
I mean, I listen to Quran recitations a lot. Doesn't mean I know Arabic.
Doesn't mean I know. Yeah, it doesn't mean I know Arabic. Yeah, or I know. Yeah, immediately everything. Yeah.
Anyway, let's just continue.
If he had heard enough Arabic poetry in his life and other religious texts, including Christian ones, and then be able to recite something of his own. And as I noted before, Muhammad had a long period of time to develop these thoughts. The Quran records that people were skeptical of Muhammad because of that fact, because it took 23 years to recite. Surah 25:32 says this:
What?
The disbelievers say, if only the Quran had been sent down to him all at once. We have sent it, as such, in stages, so we may reassure your heart with it. And we have revealed it at a deliberate pace. And
What about the verse before and after?
No, not that. No, slow down. Where did he get this idea that it took him 23 years to recite? If it took him 23 years to recite, what was he doing in Mecca? He wasn't reciting? What was he doing then? What? It took him 23 years to recite. What?
I would like here. I would genuinely like to know what he means by that.
Yeah, I think he's just playing dumb.
Because the way he said it could imply a whole different meanings to the sentence. He could either imply that he actually he doesn't know how the revelation was sent down, which of course is a given, or that he implies that he kind of does know, but he doesn't exactly know. Like he thinks that he just that the prophet makes a revelation and then stays silent throughout his life, and then when another one happens, he says it again and then stays silent until the next one and then the next one, and he doesn't keep repeating it. That's that again. Like I would clarification on this, but. I don't think he'll see this video and respond, so continue.
Quote. Sure you have. This reminds me of how Doctrine and Covenants, one of the holy texts of Mormonism, explains away a problem related to the Book of Mormon. While Joseph Smith was allegedly translating the golden plates, 116 pages of the translation were lost. Doctrine and Covenants says that God told Joseph not to retranslate those plates because this was allegedly a trap the devil set through Smith's enemies. It says, "The devil has sought to lay a cunning plan, that he may destroy this work. For he hath put into their hearts to do this, that by lying they may say they have caught you in the words which you have pretended to translate." End quote. The problem is that if the original 116 pages were found and were compared to Smith's new translation, it would show that they didn't exactly line up. And so people would accuse him of not being a prophet, but just someone who is reciting a story. And so because they're reciting it from memory, it's going to be a little bit different every time. So to avoid this, God allegedly told Joseph Smith to translate that part of the Book of Mormon from a different abridged set of golden plates that would tell the same story, but it would sound a little bit different.
Yeah.
How's that the same?
Yeah.
It's not the same thing. It's like he was trying to be this he's trying to do proper research. He's not even trying to make articulate arguments, but at the same time he's trying to be as biased as possible. And he's trying to refer to the those who don't understand the religion and are opposed to it in order to help his waste of time of a video.
You know who is a good comparison with Joseph Smith is Saint Paul.
Yeah,
They both went into some woods, saw a vision of Jesus, came back. There's no Dalil. Yeah. Then they said things completely contradicting the Gospels. Anyways, so that's a good comparison. Saint Paul and Joseph Smith. I think the answer is
saying quote unquote. I mean, wasn't he also a Jew?
yeah.
Oh yes, he was a Jew. Yeah.
Yeah, he was a Jew, infiltrated Christianity at that time and told them, hey, nah, what you guys know, nah, forget it. And I came with something new because apparently I saw, Jesus whilst I was walking in some, place. I don't know, whatever. Just move on.
That would explain that in case the original 116 pages were never found. Something similar may be going on here in the Quran to explain why Muhammad took so long to recite the Quran to people.
This poor miskin soul hasn't even read the seerah. Just move on. Let's just move on.
To explain why this process took place over such a period, whether he was sincerely giving something that he thought was divine revelation or insincerely doing it.
Poor miskin soul doesn't even know that the people who witnessed the divine revelation actually saw it's a miraculous event happen with their own eyes and under their own accounts. But again, anyway.
The Prophet also told many prophecies that made no sense at the time and have only recently materialized. Listen to this. He said that the poor Arabs of the deserts would compete in building tall buildings.
People have been building tall stuff for ages. Muhammad probably knew about the pyramids in Egypt, and the Hagia Sophia was built decades before he was born.
Yeah, but if these people actually notice what he said the Arabs. He said the Arabs, not the freaking Greeks or the Egyptians.
And not just brother. That's not it. He's implying that he visited these areas and knew this beforehand, and then came back and told these people.
Yeah, but at the same time, he literally said the poor Arabs. He himself was poor. He wasn't.
I agree. So it's basically two arguments in one. My only question is to this poor miskin soul is how.
Even a desert watchtower could be considered a tall building. There's nothing special about guessing people will build the kinds of things they've been building forever.
Does he not know how their houses used to look even before 1880? Does he not know how they used to look even back in the day? And then he's like, this could be a guess. No. It's a huge shift in infrastructure to go from small houses and stuff like that and be fine with that to humongous tall buildings that at the time would not be something that these people would fathom to build. Considering their resources and considering their own state of being and living.
He said that interest will spread such that no one can escape the dust of it. He said that power and authority will be given to the wrong people. He said that sexual promiscuity would become rampant and that parents would give birth to their masters. These are only just a few examples from a plethora of authentically graded prophecies.
Like I said, anybody can make prophecies like these. The difference between a lucky prediction and a divine prophecy.
He said it! JTM, he said the word! He said it! He said it!
Sorry, put it again.
A few examples from a plethora of authentically graded prophecies.
Like I said, anybody can make prophecies like these. The difference between a lucky prediction and a divine prophecy.
He said it! He said the word! He said lucky!
I told you. Yeah, They actually all believe this. They believe that the Prophet Muhammad was the luckiest guy ever. But he's not a prophet.
Prophecy is that the prophecy is so specific and removed from the event it predicts that there is no natural explanation for the prediction. But every generation thinks the next generation is ungrateful or will usurp them. Saying things will get worse and being right doesn't require a divine cause. Literally, one of the prophecies in this section was that power would be given to the wrong people. Wow, how could a human being ever predict something like that might happen? Though, if you wanted to attract conservatives to your faith, you probably should have gone with a different graphic choice.
That's not the point. You missed the point of the hadith too. The hadith isn't saying that some guy who's bad is going to get authority. No, the whole implication is that it's going to be widespread. Ignorant leaders and things like that. But anyways, even the tall building one, that one, he just completely brushed it off. He
misunderstood it because of bias. Honestly, and ignorance. I can't be bothered with.
In any case, the predictions in the Quran are what we'd expect from a medieval Arabic author, not from a revelation of God himself.
Because again, moving back to my initial thing, because this is an argument out of progression, or from progression. you misunderstood everything that happened, the setting and stuff like that. Now you come in with this bias out of ignorance and this. Anyway, moving on.
Amazingly, his greatness is globally recognized even by non-Muslims. For example, Michael Hart, who wrote the famous book of the top 100 most influential people in history, and he places the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, as number one in his list. Other examples include Dr. Keith Moore, George Bernard Shaw, Gandhi, Thomas Carlyle, Lamartine, and the list goes on and on. Can't we logically and rationally say that he was telling the truth?
Once again, so what? Jesus and Confucius also make the top of those lists.
This guy, bro. I can't. I really think he's not smart.
Bro, you know, I'll make a video called "Why I'm Not a Catholic." Like, it's like, but yeah, man. Anyway, let's just move on.
But they and other founders of world religions can't all be telling the truth. Some of them must be wrong, either because they were sincerely mistaken or insincerely lying. Finally, you might say that this episode did not present the best arguments for Islam, but I've looked at many other Muslim apologists, and the arguments are all basically the same. Because
you look at Qadiani and Qur'an, bro.
Who did you look at except for, Sheikh Uthman, I guess? Well, who else did you look at? Hello? Names? Yeah, except for those esteemed brothers. Yeah, who else did you look at? Did you look at Sheikh Salih Fawzan, Sheikh Ibn Uthaymeen, or even classical authors? Or classical scholars? Did you look at any of those? No?
Because they do not have a specific miracle to rely on as evidence.
Oh my God.
He came from so fast.
Yeah, I can't.
And so the Quran becomes a subjective, living miracle they have to defend. In fact, the arguments from other Muslim apologists are even worse than the ones in this video. Consider this apologist who says the growth of Islam proves it's the one true religion.
Prophet, peace be upon him, kept spreading.
Not Kenny Balmer. No, not Kenny
Using a person who literally makes images of Jesus, peace be upon him. Come on.
No. And then gives it to David Wood.
No, not Kenny Balmer. My God. For those who don't know,
I gotta go soon, yeah. So let's finish this off.
Okay,
afterwards, whatever.
The message of Islam confidently to the point that Islam spread very rapidly. This is going to bring upon my second point. Islam spread very rapidly in a very short period of time, gaining thousands of followers. It expanded in an incredible rate from Mecca to Medina to Spain to China, Africa, and here we are in 2022, and it's the fastest growing religion in every country in the world today, which is my second point. The expansion of Islam is revealed in the Quran and in authentic hadith.
Of course, that doesn't prove anything, since this can be explained by a variety of social factors. And the prediction is not that difficult to make. You could get it right by chance alone. But this fact should serve as a warning.
Lucky. Pause. I need to say something. Yeah? Number one, he misrepresented Kenny Balmer. Kenny Balmer. That's his name, right?
Yeah, Kenny Balmer. Yeah.
Yeah, Balmer.
Yeah,
so Balmer.
Balmer. Sure.
Bomer, but okay, just continue. Yeah.
Balmer, yeah. So first of all, he said that it's kind of miraculous that the way that the rapid. He's not saying that because we have a big following. He's saying the way that Islam expanded, right? That's one of the and I agree with him. He's saying that that can happen anytime.
Well,
I'm going to quote to you Andrew Louth. Yeah, he says, the speed with which eastern provinces of the Byzantine Empire succumbed to the Arabs remains to be explained by historians.
Yeah.
And then here we have this guy. He's like, yeah, this could happen. Okay, what about Christianity, right?
I know he's gonna probably talk about the fact that Muslim families have like many kids and stuff like that. He's gonna mention this, I think,
or the fact that or the possibility was spread by the sword. Let's hear. Let's see what he has to say.
Yeah. According to the Pew Research Center, over the next 25 years, the percentage of the world's Christian population will stagnate. The percentage of religiously unaffiliated people will decrease, probably because of low birth rates. But the percentage of Muslims will increase. If the trends continue, Islam will probably become the largest religion in the world. So Christians must be prepared to answer the arguments of Islam. All right, I hope that this was helpful for you, and I am...
It wasn't helpful for anyone.
I mean, he did talk about the birth. Yeah.
Anyway, this is
But yeah,
open
feel
to
free
debating
to
the question,
yeah.
is Islam true, with
Well,
a
not
Muslim
directly.
apologist. I've reached out to one, but I didn't hear back. So hopefully we can find someone else in order to set a debate like that up.
Who did you reach to? Names! Give us names! Dalil! Anything, man! You brought stuff like what? Like a few evidences? You didn't even cite some sources in here? We look, we do our due diligence. So like when we put our stuff, we put source and website and stuff like that. Okay, you put source website, but not for every single detail you did. Like not even verses stuff like that. You just put it in. That's it. You expect anyone else to like figure it out. Be like, oh, you even like one of the verses and the commentary didn't even put it on screen. You just assume people would just know. And if you put it, I mean, it would have helped us a lot. But I guess not. I guess we just have to trust you, right?
In the meantime, thank you all so much, and I hope you have a very blessed day.
Yeah, okay, let's just stop because of the music guys. Okay. So, Buzz, what do you think?
I mean, there's not much
No,
I can say about him.
I'm just gonna say that every single thing, every criticism he used against Islam, we can do the same thing for his belief.
Yeah, it's
So it just
hypocrisy.
shows the hypocrisy. It's crazy. False prophecies. He didn't even mention he didn't even try to like put down any prophecies or mention of that because there is no false prophecy in Islam.
Yeah.
So he can't do that. But in Christianity, we can do that. Wrote 200 years later, 100 years later, we can say the same thing for the Gospels. So, every point that he's making, oh, it's vague. Okay, we can say it's vague too. Christianity is vague, yeah. Oh, he made prophecies? Okay, that's vague.
Oh man, we've been recording for an hour and
He didn't
49
really
minutes.
bring anything.
But yeah, honestly, like again, so it's been a trend, like just randomly, this is brothers and sisters, the dear viewers, you'll probably notice this too, and there's a way you can solve this. Is that sometimes you watch too many Islamic videos, and then it just so happens that one non-Islamic or anti-Islamic or Islamophobic video will pop its neck out. In that case, you can always, if you're on PC, you can hit the three dots next to the name of the video, type in "not interested" or "don't recommend channel." If you're on mobile, same thing. You can hit the three dots, same either one of those two, and that should alleviate the issue a little bit. Or just ignore it, but don't ignore it too long because they might flood your recommendations way more rapidly than you would think. So act a little bit on it now so you don't get confused and get like misinformation. And also, I suggest double checking the channel before you click on the video because it might actually be one of those like sleazy channels that act like it's Muslim but it's not actually Muslim. What is it, brother?
Yes, yeah. I just wanted to say because I wanted to give my opinion too on this.
Yeah.
Not a long thing not a long thing that I'm gonna say, but I feel like he has just no knowledge of the Quran.
Duh.
When we saw what he said about the variations and stuff,
Duh.
it seems to I feel like he doesn't even know what's a hadith. I don't even think he knows. Also, on top of all of that, so of course he doesn't know anything about Islam, but on top of that, I feel like even his own religion, he doesn't know his own religion. So, yeah, that's a bit sad. So yeah, very bad video, no good arguments. That's all I have to say. Yeah.
Honestly, yeah, it's sad. I mean, if this is what I'm not saying this is what the Catholics have today, but if this is the best arguments you can really think of, like honestly, here we are, four laymen, you could say. Of course, the other three brothers are way more knowledgeable than I am. I'm just hosting the channel and hosting the server, but sorry because I have breathing issues. But it's been a later development. But then it's just us four laymen. But like I said before, it doesn't take a scholar to tell this person who keeps saying 2 + 2 = 5 to tell them no, 2 + 2 = 4. But yeah, man. Any closing statements before we end this very long video?
Also, maybe it's a bit late to talk about this, but we talked about the verse. So maybe we should show it, the verse where it says if you're to be called a liar and stuff.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So I actually found it.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, it says وَإِن يُكَذِّبُكَ. Yeah. So of course, if you use that word, yeah, they would, some of them would translate it as a lie, yeah. Like, if they call you a liar and stuff. But yeah, some of the other translations, they say if they deny you or if they reject you, etc. But yeah, again, that thing doesn't. Again, it goes against his own beliefs. Because if we have to, look at who may have called the prophet a liar and stuff, then we can do the same thing with Jesus. Because he was called by the Jews, a liar, a magician, and many other things. So that's all I have to say.
Sorry.
And sometimes, by the way, يكذبوك. Dr. Mustafa Khattab says the يكذبوك here is rejected, and Sahih International say deny. So, of course, it comes down to, because again, the reason why there are differences, tiny differences in translations, is because A, the translators may be of error, and B, the Arabic language is an implicit language. One word could have various different meanings, and could have just some of that various within the context of like a sentence, depending on where the word is being used and how it's recited, and its placement in the sentence as well.
The context and stuff.
Which is context. Yeah, basically. Of course, this guy doesn't understand all that, but
I'm gonna go now. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum salam wa barakatuh. Okay, and what about you, boys? Do you have any closing statements?
It's fine. Alhamdulillah, we can respond to them. Alhamdulillah.
Alhamdulillah.
We have very good brothers here. That's what I'm gonna say. This. Alhamdulillah. No. May Allah bless you all.
Okay. Allah barak. Yeah, barak feek.
You too.
Okay. But yeah, guys, I've been recording for 1 minute and 55. 1 hour and 55 minutes. God. Okay, we gotta finish this. All right. But yeah. All right. Thank you guys for watching, and thank you brothers and sisters for watching. And take care. Stay safe. Wa ma'as salama wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.